Hey, I'm Shelly,
And I'm Angela,
and this is Real Talk Dating Exposed.
where we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of dating in your 40s. Okay, so we are so excited to have you on, mostly because we get a lot of negative feedback on online dating, right? So Shelly and I had an idea. Let's find a local matchmaker, and we have a million questions and want to just chat through some things. So before we get started, tell us your name, your business, and a little bit about you.
Yeah, so my name is Cat Cantrill. I'm also known as the Scottsdale Matchmaker.
Okay.
And I do matchmaking, dating coaching, online dating concierge, which we can talk about.
Yeah.
And dating styling. And I have been in the people industry for over a decade. And this work is one of those things that just found me. And when you lean into it, you just figure out that it's your passion and you just go for it.
Love that.
Yeah.
Now, when you say dating style, like you take them shopping?
I do.
To figure out what they're going to wear on their dates?
I do.
I love that.
Fascinating.
Yes. Take them shopping. Sometimes we do closet audits. So if the person has been single or has been attached for a really long time and has lost a spouse or has gone through a divorce and they're having to enter into the dating scene again,
It's a culture shock.
they're completely out of practice from what they wear to how they show up to how they speak. And so so that's all part of it too.
I love that.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
So the closet audit, actually, my whole journey started with the coaching. I started with life coaching, confidence coaching, and my very first program I wrote was called Secret Wardrobe. And that program was designed to help women find confidence based out of what's in their closet. Not by losing weight, but by what was in their closet. And so I've been teaching women the power of what they wear and how it can make them feel for over a decade. So
I love that.
So exciting.
Yeah.
So we have so many questions, I think, revolving around dating.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've seen it all, being that you're a matchmaker.
Yes.
And obviously we're tailored more to like dating in your 40s, right? That's what
Right.
our pod's
Yes.
about. So I think
Yes.
some of our questions will be tailored that way.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you could speak to all age ranges. But
Yes.
I think let's start out with like, what do you feel like the biggest mistake people in their 40s make when dating?
not saying yes enough.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Elaborate.
So, people, when they are dating in their 40s, you have a lot, right? So most people that are in their 40s have been through some significant breakups. They are on the path of making sure that they don't make the same mistakes again, almost to their detriment, to the point in which they become over selective, over picky, and making a lot of assumptions.
I feel attacked.
Based off of very little information.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I feel that people don't do enough is say yes enough. And if it's a maybe, it's a yes. Sometimes it's a hard no, and that's unexplained sometimes, or sometimes you just know if that person's a hard no. But we're always looking for reasons to say no. And I constantly am teaching people for reasons to say yes.
I love that.
So when they've done a lot of research with online dating, and what they have discovered is that only 5%, when women are swiping, women only say yes 5% of the time. And men say yes men are a little bit better. Men say yes about 42%.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
I mean,
Yes.
I feel that. I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel like guys are way more just like throw enough shit against the wall. And women, at least I can speak for myself, being that I'm back on the one app. But it's the thing, I find myself like psychoanalyzing when I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Looking for a reason to say no.
right.
I absolutely do that.
Yeah.
So.
And I get it as a woman myself. It's really hard to trust. And especially if we've been through a lot in the past with previous relationships, it can be really difficult not only to trust again and to be that vulnerable again to allow somebody in, but also to trust yourself, to know that you're making the right choices.
Yeah.
So
That's
true.
really the biggest
Why
one.
do you think men swipe more than women?
I think that it's much easier for them to trust. It's much easier for them to lean in. Men are more open. They are, is she warm and welcoming or not? Or not, basically. So if she is, does she look like somebody that I would like to have a conversation with? Is she attractive? They don't go through.
It's like simple
checklist.
It's very, yes. It's much more. Now, there are some exceptions to that rule where there are men that are highly selective and have this very strict criteria. But in general, men are much more open, and they've even done more research in which men are way more open to go on a second date than women are. So
interesting. Do you feel like most of your clients are clients that have like tried the online dating and they're like, you know what, I'm exhausted. This isn't working.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And not only because the online dating isn't working, but also what is it that they're not doing right? And I think that so many people come to me and they say, okay, my picker's off. I'm not doing a great job picking for myself and I need some help. And I always tell people, it's not that your picker's off. It's just that your understanding of what love is construed based off of, not to start to go into like therapy talk, but based off of your childhood, based off of how you were loved, because what we're attracted to is what we're familiar with. And what they have learned is that the partners that we seek, if we're not seeking them from a secure space, so let's just say in your childhood, you had a turbulent relationship with a parent. You're, as a child, constantly fighting for that parent's love, admiration. As an adult, you're trying to still prove to yourself that you're lovable. So you're going to seek out partners that are like your parent. Like your parent, for sure. To prove to yourself that you're lovable, to try to prove to yourself to make this person love you so that you feel that, okay, I am lovable. So it's very deep. It's much work.
I feel like
as you were talking, I was going to ask you, so you just kind of brought it up. Like, I mean, everything we learn as an adult or experience as an adult is through a child's lens, right? And our experiences. So are you then referring them to a therapist?
Sometimes.
Like, are you bridging that gap?
Yes.
Okay. Both.
Okay. I work a lot hand in hand with therapists. So therapists will recommend my work. I will recommend their work because their therapists, what I say about coaching, it's talking about where you're at now and how we move forward. As I work with people, I trigger things. I trigger things in them. Their dates will trigger things inside of them where we have those uncomfortable conversations. And when they start to go into the past, that's where you go to a therapist. And the therapist can go, okay, let's sit down and talk about what's happened in the past. And so it works really well hand in hand when I'm working with a therapist. Yeah.
Are most of your clients men or women or
both?
A mix? Okay.
Yeah, it's a mix. It's mostly, I would say, most of the women that come to me are never married, like late 30s, early 40s, or women that are newly divorced or have been divorced for a while in their 50s. Those are usually like the two main demographics of women. And then men are usually older, newly divorced, older, or have lost a spouse, or young men that have had no success with the dating apps at all. So those are usually the demographics that I work with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So being in this field, what is one thing you find people put an emphasis on that's important to find in a partner that really isn't that important?
Oh my gosh, where do I begin? So with women, height. That is a big conversation.
I don't have that
problem.
I
have.
Yeah.
A lot. Yes.
I find that fascinating. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Because
Maybe
you
because I'm
can't
short,
relate to it.
but I still feel like there's girls my height that are still like they have to be 6 foot or higher.
Yeah.
I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I get you're tall. Okay, but you see it in most women across the board.
Yeah. Most women are across the board. And it doesn't necessarily matter how tall she is. There is a height requirement. And so I always tell women, okay, so United States, men in general in the United States, only 16% of them are 6 feet. That's it. Okay, so then we take down, so 16% of the male population is 6 feet. Then we take it to the next, which is how many of them are single? Okay, lowers the percentage. Okay, how many of them are single and are heterosexual? Okay, great. So now we're taking it to the next level. Okay, how many of them live within your vicinity or that you're able? So then we take it down to to a different percentage. Then they're like, well, he has to be this and this and this and this and this. Okay, then we're even decreasing it even more so. Then he has to also be into you on top of all of that.
Good luck.
Yeah.
So you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
If this is a criteria, and the average height of a man is 5'9", average in the United States. So if we focus on really the things that matter, which is kind, compassion, understanding, driven, these things that will make you feel seen, heard, and like understood and respected, versus the other stuff. Like, I want to make sure that when I wear heels, I'm shorter than him.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter that if you're sick and he's like at your bedside doing the things for you, that is what partnership is. Not, well, at least he's 6 feet. Says no woman ever.
Yeah.
Do you find that men are okay with women being taller than them?
Yes. Yes. Most men are. On occasion, you'll have a man that's like, I prefer if she is shorter than me. But most men, like even my husband, I'm 5'7" and he's 5'10". I wear my 4 inches around him. I'm taller than him. He loves it.
Yeah.
Does not bother him one bit.
So what do men look for? Or what is it to flip it around? What about men?
So men,
when it comes to women,
so men, what they're looking for is someone who is warm, someone who is inviting, someone who is just someone that's a joy to be around, that he loves how he feels when he's around her. So if she comes off rigid or stoic or comes up with an agenda, most likely it's going to be a struggle to connect. But I find that men they're not so, she must have this criteria. They're more yes, no. Like they know when they look at her, whether it's just a yes or no.
Yeah.
There's no
checklist.
They're like, is she agreeable? Is she warm? Is she pretty? Great.
Yeah.
Oh, next.
To be a man.
I know.
Jeez.
Yes. Yeah.
And
in
then,
my experience.
And then out of the men, what do you think men focus on that isn't important?
I think that, I mean, in my experience, I think the things that people in general focus on that isn't important is income. Mm-hmm. And the struggle that I think one of the struggles that I've had with men is if she makes more than him.
Mm-hmm. And that's not okay.
For some men, that can be a struggle.
Yeah.
That can. But in general, happiness does not rely on how much you make and how much he makes. Mm-hmm. They've done a lot of research that the threshold is $70,000. So once you hit over making $70,000 a year, the happiness level does not change. Mm-hmm. More money equals more problems. Mm-hmm. So as long as you hit that threshold for the both of you and you're supportive of each other, it does not matter. Income really does not matter. So, yeah. Do
you think that the dating apps are hurting or helping?
Hurting.
How so?
It's completely changed how people relate.
Mm-hmm.
I think online dating has changed how people date, and also texting has changed how people date. I wish I could throw texting out the window. Mm-hmm. I wish you could only text and be like, be right there, running 10 minutes late. These in-depth conversations via text.
Yeah.
They're the worst thing that you can do, honestly, when it comes to dating. And online dating it's called evaluability. And evaluability is when the online dating apps say, okay, these are the things that are important. Height, education, body type, photos, like these things that are comparable factors. And the reason why online dating did that is because that's the only way that the algorithm can really get to compare people. Mm-hmm. Like your preferences, have kids, doesn't have kids, education, does he work out? These specific preferences. So the things that it's comparing people against does not matter as far as compatibility in a partner.
Right.
But yet evaluability tells our brain and says, well, if the dating apps say that this is important, then this is important. It must be important. And so it's changed how we think of people. Mm-hmm. It's the 6 figures, the 6-pack, the this, the that, the 6 feet, the da-da, which at the end of the day doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter. And so it's hard. It's like reprogramming people and helping them understand when it comes to compatibility and the long-term, the way that somebody can show up for you long-term. When you take away all of those things, it's really about who the person is at the core. And online dating, so men only spend 3 seconds on a profile. That's all you got.
Women spend 30 minutes.
5. Actually, women spend about 8 seconds.
Okay.
So it's a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Just a smidge. But so it's not only just the evaluability of it all, it's also photos. So it's all become about what the person looks like.
Right.
And then on the flip side of that, people will judge a person because they've put so much effort into their profile. Oh, this person's trying too hard. Oh, they have professional photos. Oh, they're trying too hard. Versus like, no, the person is putting a lot of time and energy into their dating profile. You should, you should consider somebody like that. And photos, I'm sure that maybe the two of you have experienced this where someone can be extremely photogenic and then you go to meet them in real life and you're like,
vice versa.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Right. So I always tell my women that when you're swiping, if it's a maybe, what do you have to lose?
Right.
45-minute coffee?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a maybe, then just go for it.
Yeah.
It's almost like the dating apps validate that superficial.
Yes.
That we talk about all the time, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, if we could somehow create a dating app where we're getting personality and we're getting like tone of voice and we're getting what you would experience across the table, like that would totally change the dating experience. And also I feel like the dating apps have also made it okay to ghost or like not respect that the person is human on the other end. Right. And it's like, I mean, we hear stories all the time where it's like we were texting and we had coffee and like thought things were good and then didn't hear from them.
Yeah.
So it's like creates this emotional disconnect to your point where it's like you can't really create a intimate moment with that person. No. It just feels very disconnected, So.
And I also think that to that point, which we've talked about, is that on the dating apps, I see this more for men, and you could tell me if it's different, but like they get to where they're like, that was a good date, but if I go swipe, there might be something better. You know what I mean? So they're not putting that time and effort in because date one, you're not finding out whether or not there's like super compatibility with someone, right?
Right.
You can sit across from them and be like, hey, we had a good conversation.
That's right.
Things went well. It takes time to keep going from there.
Yes.
And I feel like people get disinterested faster than they're interested because they're on to the next swipe thinking that the next girl might entice them a little more or intrigue them a little more, or might be a little bit more pretty. And I feel like that's disheartening on the dating apps as well. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. So there are 3 different types of daters. There is the maximizer, which is what you're explaining, which is what else is out there? Is this the best that I can get? So the online dating apps do feed the maximizer's mindset where it's like, it's relation shopping, right? You're on there. It's like, well, what else? What else can I get? Is this the best I can get? And the maximizer, the reason why they're that way is because they don't trust themselves enough to make the right decision. Mm-hmm. So they're like, okay, well, maybe this isn't it. Then they'll move on to the next person. So that's one. The second one is the romanticizer. And the romanticizer, when they're dating, they're always waiting for the true one, my soulmate. Mm-hmm. Like they use this language a lot. And with the romanticizer, when they start to explore a connection, the moment there's any kind of disruption or any kind of moment in which they start to have an argument, the romanticizer is like, well, if this person was really my soulmate,
we wouldn't be having this.
We would be having this conversation.
Yikes.
They would totally understand me. So then they'll break off with them. So the romanticizer puts like unrealistic expectations upon how that other person is. And then when it comes to the hesitator is the person that you don't see a lot in the dating pool. They're the person that's constantly making excuses on why they're not out there. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm going to wait until I lose 10 pounds. Oh, I got to wait until I move. Oh, I got to wait until I get that job. Oh, I got to wait until this is. And so the hesitator is constantly making up excuses on why they're not putting themselves out there. But the romanticizer and the maximizer, when we talk about the people that are usually in my office, it's mostly maximizers.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating.
Because they're just like, because I I have people take this test where I'm like, okay, let's find out who you are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just so I know what's going
with.
on.
Yeah.
So most of them are maximizers in the online dating, and it's understandable. It's almost as if the online dating has created people to become more maximizers, thinking that, well, is this the best that I can do, and moving on to the next. Yeah. But versus being present and focusing on the person that's in front of you.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, because to your point, it's not a first date. It's date zero. You are two complete strangers.
Totally.
You're just, the whole point of it is being like, can we connect?
Totally.
That's it. Not,
is this my person? I mean, guilty. It took me a long time to be
I
like,
was guilty of it too.
Sit across, see if your energy vibes. Like, don't look at that. We're not looking at him to be your next husband. You know what I mean? Like, let's just see. Yeah. But it's weird how it takes, like, it's hard. It's a difficult mindset flip to get yourself there. At least for me it was. So maybe I was a maximizer. I don't know.
For most people it is.
Yeah.
Versus just being present, being the moment. Is this person, are we connecting? Am I interested to know more? So I have what I call the 2-3-5 formula. So these are the things that you need to be paying attention to when you're dating in the very early stages of dating. So when you leave a date, it's not, I just didn't feel spark, or I just didn't feel, there are two questions you need to ask yourself. Question number one is, am I curious to know more about them? Mm-hmm. So it's not chemistry, it's curiosity. Mm-hmm. Because we want to be with a partner that we're consistently curious about. Yeah. I've been with my husband for almost 11 years and I'm still learning about him and I love it. And the second question is, what version of myself came out in front of this person and did I like that version?
I love that.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Because especially as women, there's different parts of us that show up in front of different types of people. If he makes you feel safe, and you're comfortable and you're having a great conversation, then that's a great indicator to be like, okay, I would like to see, there's more to explore here. So those are the only two questions you really should ask each other, or you should ask yourself. The 3 stands for, if you like the answer to those 2 questions, you are to give him 3 dates or give her 3 dates.
Getting a playbook right now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 3 dates. After 3 dates, sometimes sometimes you just can't get there, and that's okay. But they have done a lot of research in which that says chemistry can build over time. They did a huge study of 400 couples and only 11% admitted that they had love at first sight on that first date.
Yeah.
It takes a while to allow it to show up. And if you're curious and you like how you are around them, just give them 3 dates. The 5 stands for your 5 core values. Every single person should know what their core values are, because these are the things that mean the most to you. And when we don't really know, it's hard when you've got somebody in front of you that when you're seeking out a long-term relationship and you're seeking out a partnership, it can be really difficult to be like, okay, what are the things that are super important to me? So as long as that person in front of you is aligned with your 5 core values, and I have a test that I can give you guys so you can figure out what that is. It's free. If you figure out what your 5 core values are and you give the person 3 dates and you like those 2 questions, then just keep going for it.
Yeah. Love that. Getting little like tips and tricks.
I know. I love this.
We're going to wrap up part 1 and then jump into part 2. So
Great.
Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. If you're not following us on all platforms, please go do so.
Thank you.